Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download at audibletrial.com/bonfiresidechat. Over 100,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player.
Some of our landings were desperate adventures. We are now prepared to meet the inevitable counterattacks with power and with confidence.
My name is Gary Butterfield.
My name is Kole Ross.
I'm Jon Wolf.
And you're listening to Bonfireside Chat Appendix, an Undead second favorite.
And we need to figure out how we're going to introduce this for Demon Souls, because we do not have any Undead favorite equivalent line from that.
We'll find one. Demon Souls, Umbasa. Demon Souls for the world, so the world might be mended.
Yeah. So the world might be mended again. Boom, there we go.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
But as you mentioned, this is the second favorite because we read your responses,
which are actually our favorites.
Yes, which actually are. I've realized how shitty that sounded.
Yeah, it's my fault for coining it, and I just like the idea of like that line of Oscar Astor where he says it's an undead favorite. Always made me laugh.
Yep.
And then the idea of having an undead second favorite.
Yeah. But this is second on the show, but first in our hearts. And we're going to start off with a much-needed errata segment, because we're prone to claims and we are often wrong, and we need to be held in check.
Yep. So these are corrections, and I'll start us off with Maddox Delaska, and he says, regarding Lost Izalith not seeming like a live city, I always saw it as not seeming like a live city because it was consumed in flame as the demons flowed from the bed of chaos. So, the same way that Pompeii is not a live city.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
It definitely does. This is like the area of the game that is most impacted by the disaster that struck it. You know, I could see the lava consuming any kind of like thatch hut roof things around it. You know, but
Lost Izalith. Roofing famine.
Yeah. Maybe it's not so much the most impacted, but it's been impacted the longest. Because you see the areas in different states of impact. So like we talked about in the last episode, where Elysial, it's kind of happening when you get there. And the buildings are crumbling and stuff like that, and that very well could become as featureless and poorly designed as Lost Izalith with enough abyss. So.
Yeah,
the Abyss eats the design.
yeah, exactly. The Abyss is a thing that destroys game design. It just eats the code. John, do you want to read Alan's?
Actually, can I impose and read this one because it's kind of complicated?
Sure.
Yes, I'm going to break the order. Alan sent us in via, as it says Facebook, but it's not, the session by contact, sent in a really, really long and well thought out response. It was too long for us to read, so there are sections of it that I paraphrased because I wanted to get the gist out. So it is fiercely edited, and I'm going to make a note when I'm quoting him and when we actually are just kind of like summarizing some of it. So he says, it seems like there was a lot of dissatisfaction with Lost Izalith when it comes to lore. Kole was commenting on how there was no way that people could have lived in the ruins before the disaster. Here is my take on the area. Izalith was more like a swamp, and there was no lava at all before the Chaos Flame was created. You guys mentioned Angkor Wat as an inspiration for the level design, and I think that that place is the right thing to hold on to in your mind. It is full of life in a swampy jungle. We know that the pyromancers were all about life. It is mentioned in lots of the spell descriptions. And then he kind of goes on to, say that he believes that the Witch of Izalith, it wasn't only her that transformed, but everything else. So, like the water into lava and the inhabitants into demons, much like the ceaseless discharge was kind of warped. He kind of conjectures that maybe the ceaseless discharge was he attempted to cast Flash Sweat to make a final stand against whatever was happening, and then that turned into lava and made him into what he was.
Oh.
It gets really, really involved. He continues to say, there are tons of problems with this whole idea, and it rests on shaky assumptions, but it is the best BS I can come up with for the area. and I appreciate it. And then he goes on to kind of talk about Pinwheel and kind of the role that he plays. We talked about how he was a little bit bereft of lore, so he tries to fill in some of the gaps by saying that he was part of the occult rebellion that Havel was part of, being led by Velka to depose the four lords. The plan, he thinks, was to install people close to the lord so that they could all strike at once. Pinwheel is holding the right of kindling to stop the flow of humanity, the first flame, and this is maybe what weakened the flame the most, causing Gwyn to try and kindle it himself.
So the idea being that with the rite of kindling, the humanity goes to the individual bonfires instead of going to the...
Kind of, yeah. So like the idea is like the rite of kindling makes it so that the bonfires take more humanity, and that was enough to weaken it to the point where it was like a breaking point. Yeah.
That's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. So yeah, like very well thought out. He's definitely a thinker in Dark Souls lore. So thank you so much, Alan.
Yeah, thanks, Alan. That's an interesting idea. Like I don't have a like a lot of things are purely conjectural. Like I can just kind of like the idea or not like the idea. Like there's nothing that directly contradicts that.
Right.
But like the nice thing, or like the one thing you can say about it is that it doesn't contradict anything. Like if you were going to fill in the blanks with this, it doesn't rankle necessarily.
Yeah.
So good work.
And something that like that this helped me make a connection to. Maybe Izalith was the Great Swamp.
Yeah, maybe. I get the impression that the Great Swamp existed at the same time as that Izalith stuff. No. Because what's her head? Quaylana goes to the Great Swamp because that's where Salaman is from, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she teaches Salaman. Salaman is from the Great Swamp.
Right. But does she
Salaman
go there?
Brought the pyromancy to the Great Swamp.
Yeah, there's something about bringing pyromancy to the Great Swamp.
Okay.
There's some language that implies that they're different locations.
Okay.
And then also, what is it? Laurentius talks about getting back to the Great Swamp at some point.
Maybe
it seems like Laurentius has been there recently. Like, he doesn't seem like he's that old and he's from there.
Yeah, I got the impression that he is like traveling from there the same way that, the Bereniki Knights are coming and the same way that the people from Astoria are coming from there. So I just think of it as I try to think of it as like, for some reason the Great Swamp ends up, because there is a gigantic swamp in the game, like people tend to get more confused. Like no one's ever like, oh, the Undead Parish is actually Astoria, or Astora, even though like it's Astoria.
Yeah.
they shot Goonies at the Undead Parish. No one's ever saying like the Undead Parish is Astora, even though it's a church and we know Astoria is religion. It's just the fact that there is a gigantic swamp makes people want to believe that there is a great swamp in the game. But I just think of it like Kareem or Bernicki or anything like that.
It's always a swamp, not your swamp.
Yeah. Yep. John, you want to read Jimmel C?
Sure, I will read Jimmel C. Jimmel C says via contact, "Well, I understand that you guys aren't too keen on the theory behind Pinwheel's origin. I would like to know what you make of the fact that in Pinwheel's track you can hear the words, 'I'm so sorry,' being repeated over and over again. Personally, I think it adds a little more weight to the Pinwheel theory, and also it makes the song so much creepier and therefore awesome. You guys also mentioned how Nito's entrance is overgrown and dilapidated because he's been inactive for a very long time. Well, of course the poor bastard has been inactive. Lordran has become undead and therefore nobody is dying. With nobody to die, poor Nito has nothing to do, so now he just kills time lazing about in his coffin, encouraging Gravelords to troll other players out of boredom. Dude needs to get a goddamn job."
My favorite lore conjecture that we've ever gotten.
Yeah, Nito needs to get a goddamn job.
That is pretty amazing.
He wept for there are no more worlds to conquer.
Yeah, that second bit I think is right. That's pretty awesome. Like the idea, like I mean, and why didn't we put that together? We're fucking idiots. Is that like, no one is dying.
Over many eons, even death may die.
Yes.
A lore reason for players trolling other players is fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, that's the MO of Dark Wraiths too, right?
Yeah, more or less.
But they're trying to, they're getting something out of it, ostensibly in the lore, right? They're stealing humanity to give to Koth. But Nito doesn't get anything from the Gravelords.
Yeah, he's just fucking him over. He gets those eyes. You can offer him those eyes if you want to.
Delicious eyes.
But then you just use the eyes to do more trolling.
Yeah.
To your first point, like I've heard that track before, and that's always part of the evidence, but it doesn't suggest a family or anything to me. Like somebody's sorry. Maybe it's him. Like maybe it lends a little bit to it, but I still feel like that's one of the bigger jumps that I've read.
Yeah.
Like you have to kind of imagine so there is some family and imagery around him because of the masks, so I get that, but then the there's no B or C or D between the A and E of him having killed his family and being guilty about it and trying to bring them back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Again, it doesn't necessarily directly contradict things, and there are some things that would be nice little details if that were true. But yeah, and that being said, I don't know why it says "I'm so sorry" over and over in the soundtrack, but I don't.
It feels like it almost had to be a deliberate choice. I mean, it had to be, not almost had to be. It had to be a deliberate choice.
Well, whenever you say a word, it's often a deliberate choice. Somebody
have you
definitely
listened to anything that I've put out?
Yeah, I guess that's true. But I mean, I'm still holding you accountable as if they were deliberate choices.
Okay.
The same way I will hold FromSoft accountable, it's a deliberate choice. But what that choice means doesn't lend itself or doesn't necessarily point to the family idea to me.
Yeah.
I've been sorry to lots of things.
Yeah.
Like, pets, lovers, like parents, like any number of things, the environment, Obama. Like there's lots of stuff that I've been sorry to. So I mean, I don't necessarily think it's wrong. I just don't. It feels like a bigger leap than a lot of stuff I'm used to reading.
Right.
About it. So that's all.
Yeah.
So going in our order, I'll read the next couple because they're super short.
Yep.
Just to spread out the wealth. Sal via contact says he sent in, and this is what is it?
Condensation.
Yeah,
this is
condensation.
Paraphrasing. Yeah.
Paraphrasing. That's it.
Yeah.
He sent in a lengthy and thoughtful email about his experiences with the whole game. We cannot read all of it, however. So just thank you for contacting. But the big thing is we sent out a call a little while back about what games are like Dark Souls, and he recommended Nier, which I have never played. The only thing I know about Nier is that once you beat the game, something happens, and if you play it again, it recontextualizes everything the first time.
Right.
Which I like that idea a lot.
Yeah. I'm on the search too. I've got Dragon's Dogma waiting, and I've got to beat Demon Souls, obviously. But that was one that I almost dismissed out of hand simply because it was Square developed, like modern Square, late 2000s Square. But I'll at least give it shrift, right?
Yeah, totally. I wouldn't count out taking a look at it. I doubt we'd be able to do it in between seasons. Mm-hmm. It's probably a little too long for that, but it's a cool idea. Mm-hmm. And I've been interested in it for a long time. So we appreciate that. We're still on the lookout. Yep. So whatever, games that scratch that Dark Souls itch for you that aren't Castlevania 3, let us know.
Right.
Do you know any, John? Do you have any games that can I do that for you?
I don't really. I have not really found anything that scratched the itch. I made a really half-assed attempt at playing Castlevania 2, and it reminded me of Dark Souls, but it's impossible to fucking play.
Yeah. It's a little bit like Dark Souls, but it's not, unfortunately, it's not the type of game you play.
Right.
Yeah.
So
it's not the type of game.
And I say that as a forever mild defender of Castlevania 2.
Right. A tempered enthusiasm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Moving on kind of to our responses. Real quick, props to Chad Cross, who platinumed the game on his PS3.
Yeah.
Got all the trophies.
Yeah, Duckfeed superfan Chad Cross posted a screenshot on June the 22nd saying that he had platinumed it, which I understand is real fucking hard because you have to play through it 7 times.
You had to get all the boss weapons.
Right.
All the rare weapons in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the rare weapons trophy is the one that I think gets everybody because you have to pick up every rare drop bullshit, Titanite catch pole.
Yeah. Who has a Titanite catch pole? Nobody. Who has a Balder side sword?
Nobody has.
It just doesn't happen.
Right.
Yeah. On one character.
This is if you're being sarcastic, this is the.
I'm being sarcastic. Yeah.
What's that?
I'm not being sarcastic about how hard it is. I'm being sarcastic about the Balder side sword.
Okay.
I got the Balder side table, if you recall.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I'll read this actual. So those 2 super short ones. Thank you. We're in responses, and I'll read Joseph's here real quick. Joseph Ellis has this to say about the Artorias of the Abyss DLC. This has to be my favorite place in the game. The Sanctuary Guardian was a fresh slap in the face. Then the stone giants in the forest always get the best of me with their earthquake attack. Artorias is an SOB. It took me nearly 30 tries to finally best him. I tried every combo of gear and weapons I could until I finally said F it. When I went in with light gear and two-handing a +5 Black Knight halberd. That did it. The black magic users are a pain, but manageable. I thought Manus would be a lot harder. I got him on the second go. Yeah? I guess because using what I took away from the Artorias fight. I did acquire my favorite gear from here as well. I now walk around as Chester. The mask and top hat are the best. Calamite gave me a bit of trouble as well, but just not quite as much as Artorias.
Yep.
So, yeah, similar experiences, even though like we all hate Manus.
Yeah.
Yep.
2 tries.
Yeah, Manus on the second try is crazy to me.
Yeah.
Even though he's the only boss in the game that like my wealth of knowledge has not helped me with.
Mm-hmm.
Like most of the bosses now, like that, even the ones that took me 1,000 tries before I can beat very consistently now, like 1 or 2 tries. Like Manus, who knows what it's going to take. Mm-hmm. Anytime I get to him with a specific build, like that guy is definitely my weakness.
Yeah.
It took doing it like a million times to beat him on Soul Level 1 before I really felt like I had a handle on him. Otherwise, it was just kind of random. I might just end up killing him. But
yeah, it's not luck-based. Like, that's not what we're implying, but, like,
no.
There's an element of it, like, that's, like, it feels lucky how much skill I'm going to bring to the fight at that time.
Yeah.
Like, it's me, it's not it.
So Gavin goes on to say via the contact form, the DLC is my favorite piece of added content for any game. From the very first Chimera boss fight to the sun-drenched forest arena, I knew it was going to be special, and I wasn't disappointed. The Knight Artorias fight was, I would say, one of the hardest boss fights in the entire game. I completed the DLC, but have one confession to make, and that is that I have never in all my playthroughs beaten Calamite. That fucking dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Calamite, use ranged weapons.
Yeah, that, if there's one pro tip, that will be the one.
Yep, arrows, and it's not something you take lightly if you haven't built up a good bow
right
at this point. But if you have sorceries and you have a decent bow, mm-hmm. His lock-on range, your lock-on range is longer than his fire range. Abuse it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Keeping with the theme, do you want to read Alan's? Is it the same Alan?
It is the same Alan, yes.
All right. John, do you want to read Alan's?
I will do that. Alan says, via contact, pretty much everything about the DLC is great. One of my favorite aspects to this area is the amount of callbacks to the rest of the game. The moment when Calamite first slams down by you, then flies by is like the Hellkite Drake. The Sanctuary Bonfire is the only other bonfire besides Firelink to have the Bull Staircase around it. That's a really good point. Mm-hmm. Even seeing the Artorias Coliseum from a distance reminded me of the killing of the First Flame. Then, of course, the setting being Darkroot with related yet different enemies is great. If this is the way they're going to do time travel in Dark Souls 2, then I can't wait.
Yeah. That makes me excited.
Yeah, if that's what... Because there's some kind of time mechanic, and they're going to do time travel. If they actually do that, and they play with that fourth dimension, like how your actions affect things like that, like, bring it on, man. That's awesome.
That would be insane.
Yeah.
That is good stuff.
I want it.
I want that.
I want it.
I did. Yeah, it's like I would pretty much put aside like every game that I'm playing right now that I'm excited about, like just to play that. Like that. I want it so bad.
Oh man,
not the type of series you get sick of.
Do we know that it's been playable at any events? Because I know that they've done like demos, like guided demos, but like, can you just like go to Gamescom and play this thing?
Yeah, it's been playable at an event. I read an account from some IGN. It might not have been IGN. I don't know what modern game medias are right now. Right. Like probably IGN, but something like that. Did like a kind of a after report on it. Mm-hmm. Everything he said sounded really encouraging. There's some weird little changes, like you heal now from enemy drops. Like enemies can drop heal items that are really minorly heal you.
Right.
I think there's still Estus, but also there's a scene where a character is dousing a bonfire, which makes me think that there's some kind of risk reward in having a bonfire active.
Right.
Which maybe these healing things are to do that. The coolest thing was he showed this boss fight, which is this like Mirror Knight guy, which is just like
oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Holy shit! How fun is it going to be to like invade as that Mirror Knight, or in that with that mirror?
Yeah.
You'd never be able to like team up with a boss to fight a player. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really glad they did that again. The old monk was so fucking cool.
God, the old monk is good. I had my first, the last playthrough I did of that game, the first time where it worked.
Oh,
and I got a player, and I didn't get a NPC at it, and it was great.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I won too, which is crazy, but I didn't really earn it. Like, it was not an honorable win. So thank you.
Yeah.
Niamor Zor, so a screen name, but Niamor Zor says via contact. On my first playthrough of Vanilla Dark Souls, my shield was my best friend. Then I tried the DLC and realized that my shield wouldn't help me and relearned the game. Fast rolling, almost naked, fun. I finally started New Game Plus X with naked characters, having fun dodging and watching the reaction of my roommates. I'm assuming New Game Plus X means he's going through the different, going 1 through 7.
Yeah.
Learning to dodge is super important, super fun.
Yeah. I like the idea of playing this game in front of roommates.
Yep. And, yep.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
Billy says via contact, where I had my real trouble with the DLC was the famed knight Artorias, who I have to say is one of the most badass characters in the game. He was quite the brick wall, and the large amount of videos I had seen of his fight did not prepare me for it. He killed me around 15 to 20 times before I set his soul to rest. His was definitely my hardest boss so far, and I soon decided that trying to tank him with my grass crest was never going to work, for me at least. So I set my sights on two-handing my +5 life hunt scythe, dodging every move and countering, as well as breaking him out of his buff animation for some free damage. It never made me angry to lose to him, though. I always saw him as a legitimate and fair and challenging boss.
Yeah, agreed.
Yep.
He's an honorable knight.
Definitely.
Even to the end.
Yep. John?
All right, John?
Chad?
Yep. So Chad says via contact, it wasn't until I had reached the 300th hour in Dark Souls that I realized the game was lacking something. With the passage of time, I've definitely grown to dislike, simply by comparison to the other areas of the game, the Demon Ruins, Lost Izalith, Kiln portions of the game. With the release of the Artorias DLC, I was completely reinvigorated. Leading up to the release, I was on total media blackout, so it felt like my first nightmarish experience of the game all over again. In terms of bosses, the Guardian is now my least favorite boss in the game. The number of attacks seem to be as numerous as Manus, but that charge can be repeated back-to-back just enough times to knock you over and maul you before you can do anything. Artorias is without a doubt my favorite because it's as if I'm fighting a peer. He has an awesome but telegraphed moveset. Every now and then the RNG will instruct him to double or triple sword stomp. Dark Souls, right? I never venture into Calamete's Valley alone. If I ever make it past Manus on my SL1, Calamete may make me skip to Gwyn. From the lore side of things, I really wish there was more to Dusk's story. After rescuing her from the Chasm of the Abyss, she gently weeps, and that's it. Did I miss something here? I was happy to see Sif make another appearance, but I really wish no one would leave a message on top of his summon sign in the chasm.
I thought I was the only one.
Summon should be the default action when a message is present in the same space. Or maybe I'm just doing it wrong.
No, you're not doing it wrong.
No.
The person who did that thing to you is doing it wrong.
They did you wrong.
Yes, they did you wrong.
They did you wrong right.
Yes. So when you ask if you missed something, you just have to go back to Darkroot and speak to Dusk, and
That's true.
she will say, like, you have a similar bearing and countenance to the person you rescued me. I have no recollection, but it was Artorias. Blah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
There should be a covenant in Dark Souls 2 based on trolling people by putting soapstone messages on top of important things.
Yeah. You get a humanity or the equivalent by...
Yeah, just the jerk.
Yeah.
Like just the jerk covenant. Like we're just, standing on narrow ledges with shields, and when you join, you get a special dragon great bow.
Yep.
You get a shield that every time like somebody hits it goes.
Mm-hmm. Man, I can't wait to see all the ways people are going to troll in that game.
Oh, I want it
like,
so
God,
bad.
Like I hate to keep belaboring that point, but like the amount of entertainment I've got out of this game, not even just playing it, but like doing the podcast and then also watching YouTubes and stuff.
Yeah.
Like it is like there's just like this bounty of thousands of hours of entertainment ahead of me.
Yeah.
And I want it.
I want it so bad.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And Chase says via email, via contact rather, my first experience with the DLC was actually via multiplayer. My first ever invasion was a Chester theme invasion. Being quickly dispatched left me feeling broken and confused. Not because he beat me, but because I had no idea that there was this weird Mad Hatter-esque armor set in the game. While finding him made the invasions make a little bit more sense, it certainly still felt strange and out of place. The Chasm holds a special place in my heart because it was the first time I was actually a little freaked out about what happened in this world. Up till this point, I was on the same page as what was going on. Blighted town, cool. Fortress created by a vindictive DM, awesome. A place that actually looks habitable, Anne Orlando, a little weird, but sure. But the humanity, phantoms, the humanity, phantoms. That's what really got to me. It made me stop and say, Artorias, what the hell did you do? It wasn't Artorias, it was Manus.
Yeah, he didn't really do it.
Yeah, no.
It wasn't It was Elysiel that brought it upon themselves.
Yeah, it was Elysiel.
Yeah. But
you bastards! You blew it up! God damn it all to hell!
Something they bring up that's really awesome is that idea of getting invaded by somebody who has later game gear.
Yeah.
Then you have, that's really neat. That's a neat idea.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, oh, where's that? Where do you get that?
Yeah.
You know, because anything they have, you're going to be able to get.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
It's definitely
if it's
pretty
early
harsh shit your first time through.
Yeah. Yep. So let's tag team Jeremy's response because it is a long
Yes, it is.
long one. I'll read the first few paragraphs, and I'll tag in. Jeremy Greer, our PvP expert, says via contact, this is probably the best DLC area for any game, and easily my favorite part of Dark Souls. The boss fights are aggressive, fun, and very different from one another. The additional characters you meet are fantastic, from blind old Go to creepy Chester. The overlap in geography in the Royal Woods and Darkroot Forest works for me, even though I know some people feel that they reuse the asset. Those people are crazy.
Boo. To those people, not to Jeremy.
Yeah. I said brief, right? Let me sum it up. Very good. Very good.
Does anybody want a peanut?
Yeah, does anybody want a peanut? /go voice. PvP corner. Elysiel quickly became a PvP hotspot, and even today is your best chance of invading or being invaded in the game outside of the forest. Chasing people through the treacherous terrain is always a blast, and ambushing them as they take on a host of corrupted citizens is hilarious. Nowadays, you'll mostly get people waiting for invaders, although gankers aren't as much of an issue. All right, John, you're tagged in.
All right. I'd like to talk about From's weirdly ineffectual efforts in an actual PvP arena. Very true. I often wonder if they pay attention to the stuff that people say online or the huge number of Dark Souls videos on YouTube. And here it seems like they did, and then completely screwed it up. For those unfamiliar, the Battle of Stoicism allows 2 or 4 players to group up and fight each other, deathmatch or team-style fights. There are 2 unique areas for you to fight in, Dais and Ruins, and you get another crystal that allows you to leave the fights, the hilariously named Purple Coward's Crystal, making me wonder if the crystal is purple or just the coward.
Yeah, so it could, like, purple, does that seem a little bit, like, homophobic to you guys?
I never got that.
It's a little
I didn't think it was.
I think they just needed another color because they had already done, like, you know, the black and the white, and they had the orange soapstone.
They could have gone with the yellow cowards.
Yeah, that would have been good.
If it were pink, I would think it was maybe.
Yeah.
Purple, I think is a stretch. Like I don't think of a Prince wears purple. Like I don't think of purple as an inherently.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I want something to be outraged about.
It's royal.
Yes.
It's like royal. Like it's a royal color.
It's the royal
Yeah, it's the royal purple. Anywho.
There are no rewards such as souls in humanity, only a leaderboard with your current amount of consecutive wins, and even that resets every day. I didn't know that.
Huh.
They even managed to tie a bit of lore into this, saying that winning here would lead to Anne Orlando from the aforementioned crystal's description.
Huh. What does that mean?
Let me look that up real quick.
Yeah, I've never read that. I've got that crystal because it's really easy to get, but I've never fought here.
Let us see here. Victory in this battle once led to ancient Anne Orlando, but even in the absence of its overseer, capitulation is a disgrace. In the name of the warrior's honor, do not quickly resort to the use of this crystal. So maybe this was an alternate to Sen's Fortress?
Yeah, like another test?
Yeah.
Weird. Like when you say it ties the bit of lore into it, like just like how? Like why? I don't understand. All right.
I never paid attention to that.
Because it's the Battle of Stoicism.
Yeah. The battle is standing there not saying stuff.
Yeah.
The Stoicism is you standing there waiting for someone else to come fight you, which never happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. FromSoft, do you know what Stoicism means? It's not this.
Yeah.
Cool, do you want to bring us home?
Yes. Once you choose your type of fight, you're warped into an arena. In classic Demon Souls form, there are a ton of messages on the ground that explains the mechanics. There's a bonfire in the middle for when you're ready to quit, and platforms that you're supposed to stand on. Once on, they glow, and eventually other people start standing on other platforms and will be summoned into your world to fight. My issue is mostly with 4 players, as it's almost impossible to set up a game given the netcode and the lack of a lobby system. As you wait for people to be summoned, you'll see red rings, think the miracle rings but bright red, that signify other players are waiting. Worse, you'll see multiple people waiting on the same square. Even worse, you can have 2 people summoned already, but the match doesn't start until you get 1 more. So...
Right.
This is from a game that literally closes when you start a party chat on the Xbox 360. How did they expect this to work?
Yeah, the team deathmatch was a really bad idea.
Yeah.
Bad idea or poorly implemented?
Yeah. Could have been a good idea.
I would say both.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I wonder if it works with the if you could set up like a fight club using the PC with the connectivity fix. If the connectivity fix does this as fixes this as well.
I would see this weird like corner case being like a blind spot for that. But
yeah, maybe.
Yeah. He goes on to say and concludes, all of that said, once you finally manage to get everyone in the proper spot, the host square is considered north, so there's lots of we need east or someone go north in the IRC channel. It's an absolute blast. Deathmatch is a free-for-all, with people backstabbing each other left and right, and hilarious weapon attacks all over the place. I'll like to bring in some Black Knight Greatsword and sling as many people in the air as possible. Team is a little more strategic, but just as much fun.
Because the reason why I want this to work... thank you, Jeremy, for that.
Yes.
And we don't know very much about, obviously don't know that much about this, so that's really appreciated. Yeah. Is because, the idea of making a build where you're, shoring up a weakness, that's really cool. What if, there's a use for all these dumb healing spells? If you had, a party and, you're the party's healer and the other person is, kind of the tank, that's really neat. That's a neat idea.
Do those even work in there, though? I never even thought about it.
They do. Regular healing items don't work, so it's everybody's invading.
But the spells that allow you to heal your other people, if you summon phantoms or something, I forgot what they're even called. Those princess.
Yeah, the princess.
Yeah, those princess shits.
Princess shits.
Yeah, princess shits. My least favorite website. I don't know if they work or not. But if they do, that's a cool idea.
Yeah.
I'm on the record as saying is forming a Dark Souls party, using the game-long character creation engine of Dark Souls to create a moving piece of an offensive is a really neat idea. I'm not saying they need to do that instead of doing anything they already did, but if that's how this worked, I could see that ruling a whole lot.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. But that's just my thought on it. I don't know if that's actually the case. So, and actually, you're telling me that Jeremy's saying that's not the case. I trust him. So apparently, that's not the case. But what might have been?
Right. So that concludes the responses. A record turnout. There were lots of really long responses that I kind of had to edit down. So if you're listening, I'm wait a minute, I made a decision for you. But we really, really appreciate it. It's going to be a little bit quiet on the interaction front here for the next couple. However, the final episode, at the very least, is going to have a spot for you guys and your opinions, experiences, and whatnot.
And I will say that if you have general comments, if you tried speedrunning, if you have any speedruns you really like, if you have any any comments about that as an idea.
Ooh, let's kindle this further. Yeah.
Yeah, let's continue that. And we don't have to do a full extra episode about it. We probably won't get enough responses for that. But if we can fit them in the episode, we will. And if not, we want to hear them.
Right.
And then same thing with PvP stories that maybe didn't have a place to be anywhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So this has been a rather long appendix. So let's bring it to a close. General admin stuff. Ratings, reviews, iTunes. Check out the other shows on the network. And also,
how would somebody get a hold of us with any of that stuff?
Yes, they would go to either our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/bonfiresidechat, or most of the responses go through Duckfeed.tv/contact, where you can send us a little email, and then that gets worked in. It's easier to organize that. It's, everything there. So, yeah.
Yep, it's appreciated.
Yep.
So do the rest of our stuff. Blah, blah, bloop.
You know it.
And thank you, John.
Yes.
Again, for sticking around.
Of course. Thank you.
I really appreciate it.
Yep.
And until next time, may the flames guide you.
May the Umbasa to mend.
so the world might be mended.
So the flames might be umbased.
Yes, the flames might be embossed. So we might emboss the flames.
Yes. And
should got them bronzed.
And stick around for some deleted scenes. Tomorrow is my last day of work before my vacation.
Yeah.
Actually, me too.
Oh, wow.
Cobra-san, you guys are going to be in the same place for Spring Breakers.
Yeah, Cabo!
He's going to be at my house.
Yep. He's going to be at your house porking butts and doing shots.
Yeah. I hope you're ready.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could ever be ready for somebody to pork butts.
Yeah, one of the many people who got on my balls to get into Dark Souls.
Awesome.
While I was holding out.
High five Badger and Gary about Dark Souls, buddy.
Fuck yeah. I was extremely happy when Gary got on the Dark Souls train.
I was extremely happy.
Did he send you the late night the late night text too?
No.
I think we had some chats.
There were some G chats.
Yeah.
Yes.
Have you heard the good news? Artorias is willing to be your Lord and Savior. If only you accept him into your void.
Oh no.
Definitely, every time I come up with a dumb challenge idea for Dark Souls, John has already done it, except for this new one that he's doing.
Oh, what is this, dual whip you're trying?
Yeah. I just finished the DLC area in Whip Fest today.
Whip Fest 2013.
Whip Fest 2013. It actually went pretty easily. I was a little bit disappointed once I got my guy kind of going. It wasn't really that bad.
Like, so were you? Is it just whip type weapons, or are you doing like just plain whip, not the notch, not the guardian tail, nothing like that?
No, just just whip weapons in general. I didn't end up using the guardian tail at all, but I would have the regular whip in my left hand and the notched in the right.
Right.
Classic. Classic build.
Yeah.
Me and Brayton just got the whips for our double dragons, so we just recorded our first all whip duel. Against each other. I had to edit and everything, but I can't beat him in PvP, and I don't know what it is. I'm not great at PvP, but it's getting really embarrassing.
The one time that I did a little bit of PvP with my whip guy, it went so bad. I felt like all I could do was just walk up and hope that they would stop blocking when I tried to hit them.
Yeah,
maybe you can try them backs. Nope. Maybe you can. Nope.
Nope. You can cast spells.
Yeah.
Oh, whips.
Oh, whips.
Whips. Yeah, we'll have to have you come back and do whip chat, so you can talk about each individual area of the game. I wish we had just had a 5-minute cutaway that's and now for the whip perspective, Jon Wolf.
there were 4 hollow soldiers, and I whipped the first 2. And then I whipped the other one, and then the next one.
And that was the whip report. Whip Smart with Jon Wolf.
Now, when you're fighting these black knights with the whip, you just parry, but then you can't do shit.
You're 60 damage riposts.
You have to begin every segment with this is John with the whip chat. Now let's get cracking.
Yeah, Whip Smart. Let's get cracking.
Yeah. Or if you wanted to get fancy with it, it could be release the Kraken or
release the Kraken. Yeah, it would work better in print than it would that. You just wrote my Twitter pitch for tomorrow. So done and done.
All right, there we go. There we go. Is your Skype name a reference to home movies, John?
Yes, it is.
Oh, that's a good choice.
It's a nice.
I thought it would be a good Skype name.
It would be a good Skype name.
It's he's vaguely Eastern / Southern European. I don't know that it's strictly Italian.
Yeah, he's Italian / Czechoslovakian or stuff. I don't know.
Yes. And his dad talks the same way.
Yeah,
the same VO actually too. That's a good show.
I just got an ad, and my email just popped up. I've got an ad out for housing, looking for an apartment. Mm-hmm. And I'm not a couple, but Manuel Rodriguez just sent me a thing that said, I just found your ad on Craigslist. No one is leering couples move into a house.
What?
Like, and to see if I wanted a roommate instead of what I was looking to do.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Nope. Sorry, Manuel. I do not need to have a leering couple in my apartment. Join us.
Hey, Gary, guess what we're doing?
Yeah. Why watch when you can live the dream, Gary?
Just standing there, leaning against a wall, licking his lips.
Yeah. Hey guys, I was gonna watch some TV.
Did you just? Yes. Okay, he did.
Yeah.
All right.
And he did. Mm-hmm. I have sex with her in front of me, Manuel. Come on, buddy. It'd be awesome if, like, every time it happened, though, I got like $25 off rent, and then I could spend all my time like hip checking them into each other, and then just being like, "Isn't Consuela beautiful tonight, Manuel?" Look how her skin shines in the moonlight.
Yes,
you can get paid to live there.
Yeah, to really get them going.
Wait a minute. Okay, so wait a minute. Did we just devise a scheme by which you get paid for other people having sex?
Yeah, I guess we did. Because at first it's something you have to endure, but eventually, like, that's something where, I just endure it so often that I want it to happen. So
that would be like your job. You'd be like their sex catalyst.
Yeah. Get double sorceries with the sex catalyst.
Yeah.
Zing.
It's a promotional DLC crossover with Saints Row.
And we all pray that we will have far more soon